G'day listeners, welcome to Barkarati, the sailing podcast. My name's Jordan Spencer and it's that time of the week where we get to hang out with some really cool sailors, but of course I have to share the microphone with my one idiot mate. But this time, it's Mr. Brett Perry.
Greetings, exalted one.
BP.
Oh, at last. I missed you guys, but it doesn't seem to work, does it? We're down one man still.
Well, I've got a theory, BP. I've got a theory.
What's that?
Well, Bicey's disappeared, right? Last I heard, he was getting on a plane to Port Lincoln, and obviously there was a little bit of banter last week. You know, he started ripping into me about he's making sure my photo comes down from a few yacht clubs in Adelaide. And then we were on the phone to Cam and Susie last week and said,
saw that,
is my photo up at Nedlands? And of course, it was everywhere. I reckon Bicey's got on the plane and he's gone to Port Lincoln to put a photo up of him in his original club. I think that's what's happened.
Right. Well, maybe he got there and there was a photo of you already there. That would have really pissed him off. So that's why he's not here. Damn this.
That is genius, BP. I love that. I wish I'd thought of that. I could ring Andy Dyer and get him to put the photo up there, or...
Yeah, that's it. How are you, mate? You been good?
Yeah, good, buddy. Good. How are you doing?
All right.
Sunny UK.
Yeah. No, in sunny UK, yes, it is. It's good. I'm heading home tomorrow, so it's been a very busy period, but we'll go through all that later.
Okay, sounds cool. We'll do that after we've chatted to our guest. How about that?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Shall I bring him in?
Well, that's what we're here for.
Okay, righto. So the guest this week is we've focused in on the IQ foil boards. They're going to be at the Olympics. We don't know a huge amount about them. We love windsurfing. We're into the whole thing. So, BP, this is your work. We organised to chat to one of the local Aussies, so an up-and-comer. So our lad that we've got today won the Sail Sydney in 2020 on the foil board. So I think won pretty much every race. Fairly much similar outcome in Sail Melbourne. Is the Australian champion on the IQ foil. Went over to Europe and is there at the Worlds. A former, I think, podium placer in the T293s, the plus, the world champs for the sort of trainer, the junior class. So as the dude that's used to doing pretty well, comes from a sailing family, and now he's there in Brest, in France, ready to go for world champs. And it literally is starting tomorrow. There's practice race today and intro. So let's bring him in. Grae Morris, how are you, mate?
I'm good, guys. Thanks for having me. Pretty excited to join along.
Yeah, welcome. It's fun.
Yeah.
Right. So, Grae, we got you. Yeah. We're going to have to talk about you first, and then we're going to talk about the Worlds and talk about, IQ foils, the whole thing. So you're going to make us experts at this stuff. We think we have the knowledge. I think you're from a sailing family. We've discussed that. Just tell us your background, how you got into this sport.
Kind of got brought up through windsurfing. Everywhere I went, everything I did was just through my dad, who windsurfed a bunch, did a lot of competitions, and I kind of followed in his steps and decided that all I wanted to do was really beat him, just because I like making him mad. So I just started windsurfing, had a lot of fun in it, started competing against him, which I think worried him a little bit and made him start training.
Yeah.
And then I beat him in one of our regattas.
Yeah,
and then he retired.
Yeah, he quit. He sold all his gear actually, and now he's a moth sailor / 18-footer owner. He's just lost the plot really off windsurfing.
Oh, so, killed him. I love it.
Poor guy.
Knocked him off the perch. Okay, so what boards did you sort of start sailing on, and when did you find that you really had other than obviously trying to beat your dad, which is a great motivation, there must have been a few other people out there that were in your sights.
Yeah, so I started pretty much at everything. It was more the slalom side. I just loved going back and forward for 7 hours because I was a kid. So all I wanted to do was just go fast. And then Dad raced on the Formula. It's
yes.
It's not raced much now, but back in the day it was pretty fun, pretty cool. And so I did a bit of that. I also did some race boarding, and then just kind of whatever board I got given to me, I'd try to see what I could do on it. But yeah, I mean, I'd say Dad was a good motivator to see where I could go, see if I could beat him, see how many times he could take me out of school to go sailing. I don't think Mum knows about that, but
I love it.
Hopefully she won't find out. And yeah, I looked up to a lot of people. My goal since I was a kid was Olympics, and so I always had those Olympic people on my mind, but I never kind of knew where it would go. And all of a sudden, I'm racing against them, and I'm really good friends with all of them. So
that's cool.
I'm just stoked that I kept doing it.
Your dad has come up a few times, so it sounds like your dad's been a pretty major influence on you, mate.
Oh yeah, probably the biggest one in my life. I mean, he was the one who pushed me every day. I mean, as I said, he took me out of school when I probably should have been in school so that I could go windsurfing. Yeah, which is probably a pretty big one. But yeah, no, he got me over to Europe. He got me all my gear. He's like the biggest sponsor I've had, biggest sponsor I'll ever have.
Copy.
And yeah, he's still one of my biggest motivators for doing what I do.
It's just a great thing. I mean, we, I know your father, Brett, and how much he puts into it. I guess that not only motivates you, but also sort of makes you proud that he's given you that opportunity.
Yeah, super proud and super happy to kind of show him what he's taught me, and show him that I kind of listen.
Mate, we have to talk about one thing though. Like, you're Aussie born, right? Your old man. I think most of your family's are Kiwis, right? So from the dark side. And now tell us, I reckon I can sort of see a slight trace of a mullet going on there, mate. Does that make him proud? Is that his influence? What's come on there? What's going on?
It's a funny story actually. So I did a bit of training with the Dutch team.
Oh yeah.
And they quite enjoy haircuts before big regattas. And so, I was a normal kid, had normal hair. I'm 15 years old, doing my first RSX World Championships. And Kieran Badlow decides he wants to give me a haircut on the beach of Torbally. And we went. I'm Australian. I need to back it. I'm wearing the Australian flag proudly, so I need to be a bit more Australian. So he decided to give me a really, really dirty mullet on the beach. Yeah, and mum slapped him. My sister never talked to me again, and Dad laughed and cried on the beach.
Was that a cry with happiness because he thinks his Kiwi roots are coming out?
No, it was a cry with happiness because I looked like such an idiot. But now I've kind of kept the haircut for the last 3 years. I think it's been now, maybe 4 actually.
Wow.
And yeah, it's just stuck to me. I think it's part of the movement. I think you guys should get around it actually.
I'm working on it. I'm working on it, as you can see.
Yeah, mate, it makes you faster. We tested it.
I survived the last run of mullets in the 80s, mate. I didn't go then. I'm not about to go now. What
didn't you ever have a mullet, mate?
Never, mate. No. More the Hugh Grant floppy front. That's my style. Mate, apart from let's get off haircuts. Apart from your dad, I'm wondering. You're sailing out of Woollahra. There's a few youngsters sailing out of there. I think you do a bit of travelling with Will McMillan. Is that right?
Yeah. So with Will McMillan, he's changed to a Thai flag now, which we're not too happy about. But he's got to chase it. So
he's chasing that way. So I mean, I guess I was trying to get to. Do you think because you've got a few people to train with there, that's pushed you, or what's going on there?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when we were all on the big techno, it was kind of, we just came down after school, just all of us, and we just went for just sends on the techno. We had Dave Bell, also known as Belly.
Yeah.
He'd get on his boat every day and just kind of coach us, video us, have a laugh, push us around. And I mean, that was just the little group we had, and we had so much fun that it didn't feel like training, but we were getting better every day.
Yep.
And so our little community we had it just made it all super fun. And we never thought of, like, we're doing a sport or we're training. It was just, we're having fun with a bunch of mates, and that's kind of what got us all to where we are, I'd say.
Yeah. So
it's kind of a common theme with windsurfing. It does start off in that fun element, but now you're at a stage where it's this dream is becoming a reality. So you're on the IQ foiler now. You've been on it for a couple of years. Can you describe the board a bit to us? And because a lot of people probably don't understand the intricacies of it.
Yeah, it's for sure. So it's a wide and a short board for windsurfing. So it's like back in the day, it's more like a formula board, and it's made to get up on the plane really quickly in super light winds. And I guess someone just decided they wanted to put a foil on the bottom of it, and it turns out it works really well for racing. So it's just a big board that can go upwind and downwind really well, and we race on it. It's pretty simple. It goes from 5 knots to 35 knots, and it's good fun, I'd say.
Well, so it's a one size sail. You don't change sails.
Yeah, no, it's a 9 meter sail, all one design. We have a 900 centimeter front wing and a 95 centimeter foil mast, and because it's all one design, we can't change it. So no matter what the conditions are, we use the same gear, which I really enjoy. I don't like swapping around. I like dealing with it.
Yep.
And it's real. I think it's really good for the sport because it's quite a spectator's thing now. It's really cool to watch, and like it's silent, it's fast, and it makes for some pretty cool footage and spectator stuff. So
I was lucky enough to get out and watch you guys train and do some stuff. I've been sort of working, to sort of get involved with that side of it. And Jay, it's really impressive. It's these things absolutely romp. And I tell you, getting the timing right for the start, it's incredible how you do it.
Yeah, it's a bit challenging and different than a normal boat, but that's what I love about it.
Yeah, the thing that jumps out to me, like if I sit there and sort of analyse it a little bit, you got one design everything, right? And so your sail, 9 square metres, that's a big sail, right? And you're saying you go from 5 to 35 knots. I can see how you can depower the sail and get, just crank on your downhaul as hard as you can go, flatten everything off, twist it out, blah, blah, blah. Be a hell of a sail to hang on to. But then the foil, from the limited foiling I've done since before I did my knee, that foil, the power that comes from that foil, at some stage that thing's going to overtake you. So at what wind speed does it get to the stage where you're going, oh, this is hard to control? Like at what stage are you just going, I'm hanging on here, all the board's in control?
Well, it's quite different. Like back on the big techno or the RSX, you could keep, like, in 25 knots you were still quite happy.
Yep.
Because it was all quite heavy and put down stuck to the water.
Yep.
But now, because we have this foil that just wants to go faster and faster, and then we have a reasonably big rig for foiling. It means that even in 10 knots we are powered up, we are flying, and so that's kind of changed a lot of everything. So everyone's been getting bigger. Yep. Like we went from the normal RSX sailor was about 75 kg, and now you look around the boat park and we're all 95 kg. I'm 100, 102, and we've all just gained a lot of weight to keep this board on the water when it gets pretty windy.
I can see Jay.
You're definitely good for it.
Mate,
I'll talk to Arthur and get you on the program.
Arthur, mate, he's probably that weight himself these days. He's got the height, that's for sure. So,
yeah, well, I think we've changed him a bit because he likes to stick with our eating program, so he can kind of feel what we go through. And yeah, you can definitely see some form changing there, and his shirts are getting a bit bigger.
Last time I saw you, Grae, you were sitting at Balbora's polishing off a massive plate of bacon and eggs, sausages, and all sorts of stuff. And I said, "How's that going?" He says, "Good. I've got a regatta next week, so I've got to get on it."
Yeah, mate, yeah. It's definitely not the biggest challenge for me. I quite enjoy eating.
Yeah,
so
cool.
I'm happy for this change.
Oh, well, this is good. So we've got the Olympic class for the large fellas. So you're the same size as a fin sailor, basically. You want to be that sort of size is what we're talking about.
Yeah, actually, we are. So it's kind of we're now the bigger class, where we used to be the small and fit class. We're the big and fat class. So
big and fat class.
Changing windsurfing.
Yeah. Can I ask then, from a female perspective, what the size of the females are and what the difference is for them?
So the top girls, they change quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
I know the New Zealand girl, Virli, she's about 70 kg now.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the French girl who I think she's around 78, 80 kg. So it does vary quite a bit in the girls. So I'm not too sure what they're going to settle down to,
right?
Just yet.
It's I can see a few coaching people going to some of the basketball squads around town and just hunting out to see if there's any sailors in that group, because that's, to get
Q in Lily Dew.
Yeah, it's exactly that. So the question. You got. By the way, when we talk about Arthur, we're talking about Arthur Brett. That's correct, isn't it? He's your coach?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. So Arthur, he is a very, very good coach of long standing in Australia, world champion in a bunch of classes and Olympic coach at a lot of levels. So a great coach to have, which must be fun. Like, have you learnt a lot from Arthur?
I think in windsurfing and the technical side of foiling, I've learnt the most I'll ever learn. And every week something new happens, and it keeps rolling through, it's really good for us. And one of the best improvements we've had in our squad for sure.
What about racecraft? I mean, when you mentioned earlier, when you got out as a kid, and you'd go out and fang around for 7 hours, sail back and forward, and have fun. Obviously, now you have to have some racecraft. I guess Arthur's really starting to hone in on that as well, because now you've got to get around the track and actually think about tactics. I mean, that tactics at 30 plus knots of boat speed is a pretty hard thing to do, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it's a different kind of tactics, but he's on top of it, and he helps out a lot. So it's made life a lot easier having him on board.
What about in the lighter stuff? I mean, you're saying you're 102. Is there a variance of weights between the fleet that you notice that if it is lighter, that a lighter guy will go faster? Or is it just purely because once you're up on the foils, it doesn't matter?
Right now it's as soon as you kind of get up on the foils. So me being my size, I'm happy with this size, because I know I can get up in the similar wind range as someone who's 85 to 90 kg. And right now the big guys are still going faster in the light wind.
Right.
But I mean, as soon as that changes, then quite happy where I stand, because I can still get up at the same time as the lighter people. But as soon as that changes, then I might have to drop down a few kegs. Yeah.
It's a good question, BP, because from what I understand, Grae, with the class, is it's like any windsurfing. There's not just course racing. There's course racing, there's slalom, there's marathon, and they run the different races depending on what the wind strength is. Is that right?
Yeah, correct. So slalom is, I think it's about 6 to 10 knots. We run that, or if it's a super shifty 10 to 12, we'll still run slalom because we can get a lot more races done in the day. And then as soon as it gets above really 12 knots, we're straight into course racing. And then when it gets to pretty powerful 20 knots, then we'll do marathon, which normally takes about an hour, maybe a bit longer. And yeah, those are kind of our ranges, and we just deal with what we get, really.
Okay, now Jay, to your shock, I did actually look at the run sheet earlier.
Yeah.
And you touched on tacking. We noticed that a while ago there was a young fella who managed to do a foil-to-foil tack on the boards. Explain to us what's going on there and how far away do you think?
It was Harry Joyner.
Yeah. Harry Joyner. He pulled off the first foil tack on pretty much any windsurfing board. So that happened a couple months ago. I think more towards the start of this year, he pulled that off, and they kept it a little secret until it came out in just before the Europeans, about 2 weeks before the Europeans. And so that was quite a big one, I'd say, in the sport, because no one actually thought it was possible. And it was just a big if, whether it will ever be possible or whether people will actually get it done. And then, I mean, as soon as it came out, as soon as the video came out, everyone's been trying it, and now in a training session, you'll look around and there'll be people doing it. So it's quite amazing how quickly everyone in the fleet can pick up that skill and do it. So yeah.
What about you, mate? Have you done it?
Yeah, I've done a few.
Wow.
I'm not the lightest on my feet, but yeah, I get them around. It's not pretty though.
It's the mullet slowing you down, bud.
I'd say it gives me the lift, but yeah, sure.
I mean, look back to. I've just got a vision of this mullet doing a tack and just getting it all in the air and getting in your face. And sorry about that.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, the foiling tack has got to be probably the holy grail of this particular style of racing. You know how much you lose when you come off the foil, then have to repump and get back up on the foil. I guess it's going to come down to the conditions and the weather, and you know, when you get to these major events, as to who can pull that off. So it must be part of a really big training regime.
Yeah. Like right now in training races, you see a lot of people doing them, and a lot of people attempting them at least. Just because, I mean, it's real fast, but there's a big risk factor to doing it, because if you mess up one little step of it, you're in the drink. So in racing, you don't see as many people doing it unless the reward is bigger than the risk. So right now, the tacks are still pretty much fully planing and real fast. But I'd say by 2024 Olympics, we might have 100% foil racing. Yeah. Which will be quite cool, actually.
Oh, mate! As I said to you a second ago, and you know, the boards, watching the boards live is a spectacle. And if you can get 100% foiling around a track, and then it relying purely on absolute tactics, 100%, then it's going to be pretty riveting.
Yeah, for sure.
So with the racing, because there's all those different types of racing, they all count to your scorecard? Is that how it works?
Yeah. So marathon actually counts as 2 races.
Yeah.
So if you get a first, you'll get 2 firsts for that day. And then if you get a 52nd, you'll get 2 52seconds. So it's quite a big one for your regatta, because if you mess that one up, then it counts twice. Yep. And then in slalom, it's your finishing score times that by 2 minus 1. So if I come second, I'll actually get 13 points.
Right.
but if you come first, then you still get 1 point. So it's a little bit more confusing that slalom won.
Right.
But yeah, it all still goes on your scorecard.
Yep.
And you can drop it. I think in the marathon though, you can only drop one of the races.
Yep.
So that makes it quite a big one.
Okay. So
for the regatta.
Okay. So then, with the different races, and I guess we have to identify that when it gets to the medal race, it's a different sort of shape race again. But so with if you could run through them, what do you do tactically different? Like, do you have different goals or tactics depending on what the race is?
Depending on if it's a marathon, sprint, or course, do you mean?
Yep.
Yeah. So for slalom, it's all about the start. My view of it is because I mean, if you're first to the first mark, then you have a high chance of either keeping that score or just if you really mess up, that's the only reason you'll drop by. But if you're pretty deep to that first mark, then you'll have a lot of trouble keeping up. So your tactic for the slalom is just make sure your start is perfect.
Yep.
You got to be on that line at 0 going full speed, and if you're not, then it's kind of forget about it. And then of course you have the marks, the jibes, and the rounding.
Yep.
Which is all board handling. So that's mainly slalom. It's just make sure your board handling is awesome, and then be bang on that start. And then for course racing, it's just your normal tactics. I like to look at it as MOF tactics. They're quite similar.
Yeah. And
it's based on wind. A lot of it's pressure. You still go towards the pressure because it's faster, but you go towards shifts as well if they'll make a big difference. And then marathon, you look at your land and where the wind is. It's the same as any other marathon. But yeah, the tactics do change. I'd say the biggest one's the slalom though. If you mess up that start, and you just got to forget about it and think about your next race.
Is that right? It's just that bad.
Yeah. But it makes it hard because the medal race is a slalom start.
Yep.
And if you're over on that medal race, then your medal race is over. You come 10th.
Yeah.
So you gotta really make sure you're on your game there.
So when I first met you, Grae, you were obviously training on the IQ Foiler you'd started, and it was sort of mid-COVID, if you like, and there was no travelling overseas for the Australian team. And you'd done some international events on other boards, but you hadn't done an IQ Foiler event overseas. Tell us a little bit about that when you went over for the first time and actually competed against on the world stage.
So you cut out for a little bit just before.
I just said that when I first met you that you were training on the IQ Foiler in Sydney, and that with COVID you weren't able to get overseas, and then you had to get over there and have your first event in an IQ Foiler. Explain how you handled that and what that felt like to be on the big stage.
Yeah, so I mean, it was quite a challenge for us. I know the Kiwis and us Australians, we had a bit of trouble because we couldn't travel, and training was a lot harder because of all the restrictions. So it was more just a solo training. You just go out, you do your thing, have fun, go as fast as you can, and that was the training for the last 3 years, which made it hard watching everyone in Europe do their racing, and have been able to train as all together. So we knew we were going to have a bit of trouble going over for the first time, but that kind of just stuck in the back of our mind, and we just knew if we're fast, we knew how to race. So that's all we got to worry about. And then we got to Palma, and we got there, I think, a week and a half, maybe 2 weeks before, and we just tried to line up with as many people as we could, as many European people, and just try to figure out and get, as smart and as up to date as we could in the 2 weeks before the first big regatta. So it did make it real hard, but I mean, it was kind of all part of the game for us, and we knew it was just something we had to get through. But it didn't change anything for us. We still trained hard, and we still did our best, and we just learned as much as we could.
I'm guessing because you did, you had your way for a bit here in Australia, but I think BP is alluding to the fact that you went over, and I think the standard's pretty high, I guess, it's such an accessible sport, the windsurfing and the IQ faller. Once you get going, like there's thousands of people doing it straight away, and so big numbers, and it must have been intense for you.
Oh yeah, it was super intense going from our local kind of Australian fleet to this big European fleet where there's more than 10 to 15 people on the start line. So it was really intense for us, and we got worked. That's for sure. I got worked, but it was just kind of you get put down and you learn, and then you get back up. For Palmer, Hiers, and the Europeans, I think the best regatta was Palmer, and even that I got, I think, 30th. So it was still a bit of a working, and just had to get through it. And then wasn't the luckiest. And Hiers, I broke my board fin box, which set me back a day, and I couldn't really recover from that.
Yeah.
And then Europeans was just dumb mistakes.
Right.
So yeah, it was hard work getting over to Europe.
So what's the biggest improvement you want to make, or you thought you had? What was the biggest lesson that you got from your first time to Europe?
Definitely the racing. The racing is super hard. Like getting off the start line with clean air. It sounds easy, but it was like insanely hard to pull off for me.
Yep.
And then just making the right decisions under that pressure and that speed. Like you can't hear anyone around you, so you're just kind of hoping that no one's going 25 knots at you. So it was just a big one, trying to figure out the racing and get off the start line, to be really honest.
Probably you'd probably call it humbling, I guess. You'd get over there, you've done all your training in Australia, and we know you're fast because I've witnessed that. But you get over there, and it probably adds an element to your focus in terms of what you need to work on, and it's probably been what has been focused on. Are you sort of happier where you are now with the fleets? Are you finding you're able to manage the fleets a bit more now?
Yeah, for sure. Like that last European trip was super humbling, but we got a lot out of it, made a lot of notes, and knew what we had to work on. And then coming back for the Australian season, even though it was our winter, we went up to Early for a couple months, and we trained, we worked on everything that kind of didn't feel right overseas, and now come back over, and definitely feeling faster. My start's getting way better. I'm getting off the start line and feeling like I don't have to get away from people being above me or around me. I'm just in my own lane. So definitely made improvements, and I'm feeling a lot better position-wise than before.
I can just imagine all the work you're doing up at Airlie, mate, being a young fella, a young, still teenager, and in the middle of winter in Australia at Airlie Beach, which is, it ain't winter when in Airlie Beach. It's nice. It's just imagine Hawaii, warm tropical conditions, chock-a-block full of tourists and backpackers and young European girls, just fresh, looking for a young bit of Aussie stallion meat. What did you spend a lot of time concentrating on training, mate, or was there some distractions?
Yeah, so I think that was what Arthur was really worried about, getting us into Airlie. So originally he wanted us in Townsville, but I mean that didn't really work out. So we got into Airlie, and I think that was his main worry. But we pushed through it. It was hard.
You pushed through it.
We got through it. So yeah.
Oh, mate,
I did actually see you at the end of your time up there in Airlie. You looked pretty relaxed and pretty happy with what was going on, so that's good.
Yeah, had a good tan going, that's for sure.
Oh, yeah. Well, God, I don't think I've ever been sober in Airlie. It's just so much fun. So, well done, Arthur. Smart play. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah, we're definitely going to go back, I hope.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah, it's definitely a place you got to go back to.
Yeah, I love it. So, of course, the step for you now is we're sitting here, we're talking to you. The Worlds are about to start. What's the thought process now, mate? What are you thinking? What's the weather like? What are you seeing? Who's going to win apart from yourself? You know, all that.
So it's Brest. It's a pretty interesting place, I'd say. It's been rainy, cloudy, and super windy, and then the last couple of days have been a bit lighter and still rainy. But I mean, I'm looking outside now.
That's Brest.
I'm seeing the sun kind of poke through the clouds. So hopefully it'll turn around for us, and we'll get a lot of sun, a lot of wind, and just a lot of good days on the water. And I can tell you that this is my first time wearing a super warm wetsuit.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, but not just looking at what's going to happen. I mean, we've done a couple coaches regattas, so some practice regattas, and there's a few top guys that are up there. Still similar crowd, like the British and the Dutch, the French, and the Italians. But there's a few names poking out. So we might have a few surprises coming up to this regatta.
So there's a bit of new form, is what you're saying.
New form, not surprising, but I definitely have my bets on a few people.
Well, I know the Poms spend a lot of time in the Canary Islands trying to replicate Airlie's lifestyle. You know, having a good training camp, and they've been going non-stop. So is it one of the British team, or is it other teams? The French, the Dutch are great. Where are we?
So the British, they're looking super strong. They've got about four or five people at the top there in pretty much every race, and they're as usual looking a bit undefeatable. But then you have the Dutch guys like Luke van op Zealand, the big boy. He's freaking flying. And I know when I hear him coming, because you can hear him coming, I start shaking a little bit.
I love it. We're just getting
stand out to one of my bets is Josh Arnott from New Zealand. He's been killing it lately. So I think he's going to be he's going to poke out and be one of the probably bigger competitors for those guys. So that's just going to be exciting to kind of see how that goes. And then, of course, myself.
Of course, there you go. Good man.
I was going to ask, stop being so nice to other people. How are you feeling? Are you feeling confident? And do you think that you're gaining little strides moving forwards to these events in particular? Where would you like to see yourself?
I mean, I've had a pretty good lead up to this event. We've had good training blocks. I just did a regatta in Lake Garda in Torberley where I did quite well. I podiumed that one, which was, I mean, just nice to know it can happen. And
congratulations on that.
Yeah, thank you. And then racing at the front of the fleet is just a whole different thing for me in Europe. So that was good practice as well.
Yep.
But yeah, no, I'm feeling good. I feel fast. I just need to make sure all the silly mistakes I made before kind of go out the window. And yeah, I just need to kind of race my race and just do it.
Yeah. So you've got a training race today.
Yeah, there's a practice race. I'm not sure if I'm going to do that.
Yep.
It normally doesn't really happen as smoothly as it sounds on the sailing instructions. So I a bit of my own training and let the other lads do that one.
Yep. The other thing I guess we have to talk about, BP, for this is, and for Grae, is that 2022, we've got the Olympics in 2024. It's not the ultimate event, but it's one you can try a few things. But your next Worlds are probably, and the Worlds after, are going to be super critical. How does this rate on the important scale for your coach? What's his?
No, I'd say this is still super important for the year, of course. As next year we start going into it's all trials, and just that's more of the important events to see, kind of the rankings for the Olympics. And so this is the last one that we don't get trialed for the Olympics. So I'd still call this quite a big one for us.
Yep.
Because it's like it's our final step before we start trialing for Olympics and for the Olympic team.
You'll have to excuse my ignorance. So when you do start trialing for the Olympics, how many spots are open for the nations, and where do you have to find yourself to be, a definite into the Olympics?
I'm not sure how many spots there are, but I know for the Australian team it's quite a tough one. So I'm not quite sure about all that, but I know to qualify, I think I've got to get at least top 10, maybe top 7 in a couple of the big events like Worlds and maybe Palmer. I'm not too sure, but that's all next year.
Is that?
Yeah, sure.
Is that as an individual or as a nation? So we need somebody to finish in the top 10 nations.
I think it's as an individual. I'm not sure. I haven't
That's
looked
hard.
into it too much.
Yeah, that's hard.
No, it's super tough.
Yeah, normally, say you had 5 POMs in the first 10, and then that only means there's only another 4 spots, sort of thing. Like it's normally. Yeah. So I'm intrigued. Yeah. I'll be intrigued by that. But regardless, it's going to be tough. We do have to wish you luck, mate. For one. We don't have to drop off yet. I do want to wish you luck though, because we're talking about the Worlds, and we'll be backing you. And I'm sure, now that you've been on Bar Karate, there'll be plenty of banter going on. Let's throw that out there. One of the great things that I picked up from your class is that it's quiet. The boards aren't making a lot of noise because it's just foils in the water, so it's quiet, which gives you plenty of room to throw the banter out on the racecourse, to put people off psychologically. Have you been practicing that? Has Arthur been working on that with you?
We have actually. Definitely in early we have been. And then, you get your bottom mark roundings where you'd like to throw some people off, experimenting with other languages.
Yes.
So no, it's quite a talkative boat. So it's good fun to see.
Other languages. Well, there's an interesting form of banter, Jay.
Yeah. So practice a few. So I'm wondering if I'm just interpolating here, but I'm guessing that there's a coaching document that's come out with good banter in different languages, so you can say the words, the phrase in French or Dutch or whatever. I'm just assuming that's the sort of research that Arthur's gone to.
I think he's got that one in his back pocket, actually. Yeah, I think he's all over that.
I just can't wait to see it as you're coming into the bottom mark at 27 knots trying to yell at someone going the other way.
Yeah,
it's good fun. It's certainly funny to see what people say off the start.
Just a tip for you. Just a tip for you, bud. Don't do it in Italian, because you have to use your hands to speak in Italian, and you need them on the boom, right?
I've made that mistake once.
Oh, you're a crack up. That is actually a good point. I mean, let's talk. Windsurfing starts off as fun. Are you all still having a lot of fun out there? Is it fun with everyone?
Yeah, mate. It's a lot of fun. It's certainly competitive as well, but no, we all get a laugh off, and everyone keeps going around with a smile. So.
Okay.
So it's a good scene.
Good one.
Okay.
Nice.
We have to ask this, bud. We've got to talk about the important stuff. You got a big sail. You got this chunky little board. You got a big foil. You can go out in lots of wind. And you're all fighting for one mark, and you can have lots of boats right next to each other. How good have the crashes been? There must be, coming off your foil and crashing these things must be spectacular.
Right. So Arthur's not too happy with me because I got a little distracted. And for example, off the start line yesterday, I was doing a port start.
Yeah.
And I'm just ducking everyone. I'm ducking. And then one of the New Zealand blokes gets sandwiched from, I think, a Japanese and the Italian or a French guy. He just gets sandwiched in the middle, and then all of a sudden you see foils in the air. Oh. And I couldn't help myself but to have a little chuckle. And then I realized we were racing, so I had to go for it. Yeah. But no, there's some big crashes, some insane ones, and I mean it's quite scary because you don't want to be a part of it. But I'd say it's all kind of part of the game, and you just gotta deal with it. If it happens, it happens.
You just mentioned you did a port. You just mentioned you did a port hand start. I've seen footage of a port hand start on these things. Jay, have you seen that footage? It's just phenomenal when they're at warp speed, and you're having to duck sterns. I mean, the timing. I don't see. It's Formula One stuff, isn't it? Your reflexes.
Cool.
Yeah, and a lot of us on port, we kind of don't hear them or see them on starboard, and we just go for it off the go. So it's threading the needle a lot of the time.
That opens up a question then. What sort of safety equipment do you have to wear?
It's gone up. So we can't wear life jackets anymore because we're not worried about drowning. We have to wear impact vests.
Okay.
Because we're worried about boards hitting us. So we have impact vests and helmets, purely just for safety. Now,
not to mention the foils. I mean, those things are razor.
Yeah, they do a bit of damage. There was a guy actually just a couple of days ago, a Dutch guy who he dropped his foil just a little bit, and when he went to catch it, it sliced his hand open. So that kind of goes to show if there's a big crash, you definitely don't want a foil around you.
Well, I guess safety is the ultimate in this sort of thing. You've got to be. I guess that's where it comes into it. Yeah.
I remember, in my little amateur hour bit of foiling, the on the wing ding, early on, I rolled the board the wrong way, so the foil starts coming up and I'm getting flung the other way. And mate, the mid-air contortions you do to make sure that you don't touch that foil as you're going in. That I was just banging around in my shorts, my board shorts and t-shirt, and I'm thinking I've got to wear rubber now, because that thing could really hurt.
You got to wear some solid armor.
Solid armor.
Yeah.
Gladiators.
Actually, I was watching, doing my research, and I was watching one of the events. It might have been the Euros in Tivoli, or could have been somewhere. But the marks were like, instead of just being a round cylinder, they had sort of like a tubular base, like a bicycle tube sort of shape, like a circle, and then a couple of struts that come up to the middle. So it was this elaborate looking sort of bell tower thing, but basically 4 little struts that came up and big gaps between them. And one of the boards came too close to the mark and went straight through the middle, and then arse over tit over, they've gone straight over the mark. Board's all wrapped up in the mark. People are trying to jibe around it. It was just fantastic. Was that you?
No. Oh my God. Come on. I don't hit marks. That's silly.
Good answer.
That wasn't me. I saw it happen. Old mate just didn't get enough boy room and decided he wanted to take out his anger on the boy.
I'm actually watching it right now. Would you believe
it? It's a good one.
Brutal.
At the Worlds, mate, because let's just explain. So at the Worlds, are we going to be able to watch it? We are, aren't we? They'll stream it, won't they?
Yeah, I think there's a live stream for this one actually, which is quite cool.
Yep.
That'll be good.
Explain the medal race because a lot of people might just come in for the medal race or something like that. So, what's the difference about the medal race?
So the medal race is the top 10, and it's a little bit different. So if you're in first, you're fine. So there's a final, there's a semi-final, and then there's the original medal race. So I believe if you're in 4th to 10th, that's your first medal race.
Yep.
And so all points go to 0.
Yep.
So whoever is positioned in 4th at the end of that medal race, they can get 10th.
Right.
So it's quite a big one. So from 10th to 4th they race, and then I think 4th and 5th go on to race 2nd and 3rd.
Yep.
And then there's a semis with those 4 boats.
Yeah.
And then whoever wins the semi-finals, so whoever gets 1st and 2nd, then goes on to race the overall winner.
Right.
And so then there's a final with just 3 boats.
Wow.
Right. Yeah. That's cool. I like that. So it actually comes down to the best on the day.
Yeah. So, I mean, you could be 60, 100 points ahead in first place and you could still get 3rd. So it's all about that day, and you got to make sure you're freaking performing. That's for sure.
They did that. They got a sort of thing like that. They did that with the surfing this time around, the World Surfing Tour, and Steph Gilmore, like 4th and 5th, would race and compete, and then the winner just keeps going through. And she went from 5th or 4th right through and won the whole Worlds, which all in one day. Which is, it's sort of pretty intense. That makes that last day super intense, wouldn't it?
Yeah. I mean, as long as you're in the top 10, you can win. So it's quite a big one. And I mean, now it's all just a fight for the top 10.
Yeah,
really.
I can imagine if you had first going into that last day, you'd be sitting pretty happy at them, wouldn't you? You'd like be just this is good.
I mean, there's for the last 2 major events, the guy who's been winning ended up not winning overall.
Right.
So
there you go.
Yeah, it's pretty intense, pretty interesting.
What can I just ask? Because we're obviously a bunch of Aussies here, and slightly biased. Who's the top female Australian sailor?
It's been changing.
Okay.
Quite a bit. So we have I think three main girls. We have Tash, Bryant. I'm not sure if she does IQE anymore. I think she's full time on the GP now.
Yep.
We have Sammy Costin, and we have Amelia Quinlan.
Yep.
And so in the last nationals we had Sammy Costin took it away. So right now she's the Australian champ in the girls. But I believe both Amelia and Sammy are at this world. Yep. So I think that'll be the fight out for them too.
Yep. Okay. The only other thing I've got is you mentioned you broke your fin box. How are these things for breakage? Like, how hard are they to damage? Like, are they pretty indestructible and you can just race, or you're always doing maintenance?
So, when I was around 80 to 90 kg, they felt pretty indestructible. then I got to like 95 kg and I heard a couple creaks. And now being above 100, it's definitely a lot more scary.
Right.
Things break a bit more when you got this much kind of power and pressure going through them.
Yep.
But they're pretty good for what we put them through.
Okay.
And I think Starboard's doing a pretty good job. They got quite a tough job actually to keep this all going. So I think they're doing quite well. But yeah, it's definitely something that we have in the back of our minds all the time.
It's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, we're sort of running out of time here. We know you've got to get out there and get focused on the world. I guess you got anything more you want to ask, BP, before we let Grae go?
No, mate. I just, I guess from our point of view, we just want to wish you the best and get out there and just, I guess, enjoy it. But do Do what you do best.
Thank you.
Yeah, mate. Absolute champion. Thanks for taking the time so close to the Worlds. Obviously, it starts basically as soon as we publish. We'll publish this straight away so we can beat the Worlds. And then, smash it. And I hope you get that windy, sunny weather that you're chasing.
Yeah, for sure. No, thanks for having me. It's great to be on board. So, yeah, thanks for it all.
The good news is the level of success for people who come on Bark Karate is generally very high, so you don't need to worry too much.
Yeah, guaranteed win, mate.
I just wanted to say one more thing.
Yeah, go for it.
Going from 80 kg to 100 kg isn't easy, so I would like to say a thank you to my mother for feeding me. She did quite well on that page. She got me to this weight in a couple months. So yeah, all those dinners have gone well. So thanks, Mum.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Word of warning to you, young fella. I remember my first 5-0 Worlds. I think I was 82 kilos, wringing wet, and I was just sitting there, and I was eating 4 or 5 meals a day, and my mum was doing the same thing. She'd make a plate of lasagna, and I'd have one before going to bed, and it wouldn't go on. And it took a few years, but eventually it started to go on, and now it won't stop going on. So just be warned, mate.
Yeah, I've had people say that, so I might need to fix that before it all starts going wrong.
All right, mate. Well, best of luck. Just smash them. Just no doubts. Throw the banter out there, and just believe that you are the best.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, guys.
Cheers, mate.
Good on you, Grae. Good luck, matey.
Thanks. See ya.
I've got to say, when having witnessed these boards firsthand, the first time I saw them, the speed it's undescribable. And to make these decisions, as I was trying to touch on during that chat with Grae, to make these decisions of racing these things, it's phenomenal, and it is going to be a spectacle. And if you're interested in sailing in general, this particular discipline is going to attract the masses, the crowds. It's huge. So I say get on it.
Mate, I'm biased now. They're my new favourite class. You know that now, don't you?
Oh, mate, it's it really is spectacular. I mean, you know what the thing is, when you watch them training, they get up on the foil and they're graceful. They're very, very graceful. Wow. They're not really working hard. It's crazy.
The fact that you can be, 100 kilos, 95 kilos, and be successful.
Yeah, I know where you're going. I saw you getting all excited because we've got the big boys and big girls back on the water.
That's it. The normal humans
None
get a
of these
chance.
jockeys anymore.
Yeah, I love it. All right, mate. That was good. Good luck, Grae, mate.
Good luck all. Yeah.
Happy days.
Yeah.
All right, BP coming up. What are we going to talk about now? I guess what we roll into is some other news. So club events coming up. I want to be slightly biased here, not really club events, but just want to bring a few things to everyone's attention. The J70 Worlds are about to get underway in Monaco, of all places.
Yeah, 90 teams. It's a big event, and the focus is obviously there with these boats still. So 23 nations are going to be represented there. So it's huge. It
is huge. And the world's quickest spin through the fleet. There's a few little pros dotted throughout the fleet, which was cool, good to see. So there'll be some good form. And I reckon there's pretty much Celestial boys have got a team in. Have you seen that?
Yeah, well, that's Sam Haynes from the CYC in Australia. Yep. He's going to be competing there, and they're putting in a lot of effort. So they're going to be amongst it. I don't know where they're going to be sort of sitting in the overall rankings, but I guess you got to be there to be with the chance. So
yeah, it'll be fun. Good worlds. A lot of fun for everyone invested into that one. So we'll watch that. So 14th to 22nd October in Monaco, Yacht Club de Monaco, which is a very exclusive yacht club. Wouldn't let you or me in, that's for damn sure. So that's why we're not there. And Bicey's probably trying to get in there right now and having no luck. The other event that I just want to make sure everyone aware of is the 470 Worlds are coming up in Israel, 21 to 29 October. So I just want to get that up. And obviously it's now a mixed class. So that World Championship is the other thing. I just thought people probably want to know they're coming up because they're important for people's Olympics and so on and so forth. Okay, so anything you want to bring in on the 470s, mate? I'm interested to see.
Just looking at it here, the Swedish pair have looked like they're sort of getting themselves into a good spot. Anton Dahlberg and Lovisa Karlsson. They've had a gold medal in the pre-prees. So, it says down here that Sweden and Spain seem to be the favourites.
Yep.
So nothing unusual there.
No.
It'll be interesting to see how our Australians come up. And obviously GBR is always a threat. So we'll see how it all pans out over the coming days.
Yeah, well, there's only 2 Australian teams going, I think, from memory. And one of them has got my young little mate Angus Higgins on the wire. So good luck, Angus. His dad and us are all long time good mates. So best of luck there.
And of course, Israel in the 470s have always been strong. So they're home soil. They could always be a threat. So
yeah, very cool, very cool. Now let's a little experiment here, BP.
Right.
It's hot time with BP.
Oh, jeez. What am I going to talk about?
It's hot time with Jordan.
It's hot time, not with Bice.
Yes, that's it. He'll be spewing. He's missed out.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what I think has happened? He tried to put his photo up, right, and he's been arrested. That's what I think has happened.
Well, it's either that or he has got to the club and there was a photo of yours and he tried taking it down and got arrested.
That makes more sense. So, yes, stealing. He's been done for stealing.
Yes. Just imagine him tiptoeing around in a black duffel coat with a picture of you under his shirt. What are you doing there?
I'm wondering if the photo is on the Maccabi Diva statue. Maybe that's
hung around its neck, you reckon?
Yeah. I think that's where the problems come. He's been interfering with the Maccabi Diva statue.
To be honest, for the uninitiated, for those who don't know, Port Lincoln is the home of one of Australia's most famous horses, Maccabi Diva, behind Farlap, obviously. Maccabi Diva won the Melbourne Cup, and there is actually a full life-size bronze statue on the beach in the main street of Port Lincoln. Now, it doesn't supply the average person with any fun by trying to climb on it and muck around, and it does provide a lot of amusement. So it's highly likely that there is a picture of you around its neck.
Well, I've got a connection to that horse, which is quite good. In my previous career, when I was in wholesale banking, I used to do a lot of foreign exchange dealing, and I had the owner of that horse as a client. And I remember when they bought the horse. I remember when they actually bought it, and I did the currency deal for that. And the name Maccabi Diva is the initials of the office ladies.
There you go.
Put them all together, and that's how they came up with Maccabi, and then Maccabi Diva, and that's where that name came from. So 3 office ladies' initials were put together to create that name. So they probably already had. I think the horse had my face tattooed on it from the start. So like I say,
that's why it went so well, you reckon?
Yeah. Hey. Anyway, so let's get on to the important thing. So just want to remind everyone the voting for the Sustainability Awards and Sailors of the Year Awards are still open, and they're going to close soon. So if you go to the World Sailing or Sailing.org website, you can do your voting for those awards. And World Sailing are pretty keen to make it have that public vote. So we do encourage you to jump onto that site, and because I think most of us all agree the sustainability piece is critical. We're living the change, so it's cool. I think most sailing teams have embraced it now, and then to have your influence on who you think is the sailor of the year as well, I think that's pretty important. So it's a good part of. I think it's a good way to make sure everyone's involved in sailing right to the top, everyone has a say. So get on. That's what I reckon.
Yeah, absolutely. I actually had an interesting discussion with with a few guys about the sustainability situation, moving away from the awards, but actually what is going on.
Mm-hmm.
And, and you guys do as well with 11th Hour, but they're making inroads into quite a lot of things.
Yep.
And some things there were quite surprising about the reusability of various resins and how they, and the chemical structure of it all. It's quite interesting. And I wouldn't mind delving further into it myself to sort of get a real understanding of what they are doing, because the scientists are really making big inroads.
Well, just to give you some idea of how it influences, obviously we've been involved for a while, right? Now I work, since COVID, all my overseas stuff went away for quite a while. So I took a job with the Australian government, and I work in advanced manufacturing space, helping Australian businesses with ideas on that. And the ability to talk in detail about all the different things that are going on that sailing community is doing. And, I bring that to my colleagues at work and explain everything that's going on. And it's just changed the whole approach for the way our team thinks now, because they're actually suddenly clicked that this is going to be happening. And now everyone's starting to think about it. So just the fact that we lead as a sport, then it spreads out, and it's going to be good. So, yeah, it's definitely
no question. And, everyone's working hard on it. And I think the spectacle of which we're going to tap on in a second, things like the AC40 with their training boat, the hydrofoil power boat, whatever it is, the hydrogen powered. That sort of technology. There's no question that we're trying to lead the way.
Yep. Cool. The Ilka 6 Worlds have just been on. We have to say that one of our favourite young ladies has just won the Worlds after winning the gold in Japan. Anne-Marie Rindam, congratulations. Fantastic effort. The Denmark sailor, who's an honorary Aussie these days. I think her partner is an Aussie. She's here all the time. He's into the kite, the foiling stuff. He's big time into that stuff. So congratulations, Anne-Marie. Pretty dominant performance. Her net score was 36 points. Now, you want to know second, third and fourth and the scores?
I'm looking at it. Yeah, I got it.
How crazy is that?
Nuts. Emma Plasher, Maria Erdy and Mal Jayette separated by 1 point. Yeah, crazy. And then even all the way down, like to ninth and 10th, so 68 points. They're only 12 points behind.
Yep.
Obviously, Mara Stronsky having a 14th, which is, very credible for that as well. She's had some great races. Looks like she had some problems in one of the races. So anyway, she's held her head high as well. So well done to Mara.
Yeah. And I will say we might try and reach out. So Emma is a Belgian sailor that came second, and her coach.
Is that a country?
Hey?
Is that a country?
No, not a country. No. Her coach, Evie Van Acker, is a good friend of mine. So we might reach out to Evie and have a bit of a chat. Great fun to chat to Evie. So it should be a good one to get onto the show. But anyway, congratulations to Anne-Marie and our friend Mara Stransky. You know who I did see in the field? Sarah Douglas is back, the Canadian sailor.
Right.
Yeah. So that's interesting. But Mara, best performed Aussie. Anyway, so that was them. And then we've got the F18 Worlds going on at the moment. We've become more of cat whackers since last week. We're more interested in the cats. So the F18 Worlds are on in Clearwater Yacht Club. So another day to go on that. At the moment, the Argentinian team with the Crazy Chicken is leading the way. So just thought we'd let people know about the F18s are on. And the other one is the RC44 Worlds are on at the moment as well. But the other big one of interest for us is the Formula Kite Boarding Championships that are on. And you'll remember, BP, we had a great conversation with Daniela Morose.
Yes.
She is currently leading.
You did.
Yes. Currently leading. She's got a real battle on her hands, but she has been mostly dominant. So she's currently leading in the females. So congratulations to her. That's still going on. They're just going into the final series today. So it's a similar if you first overall, you go into that finals and you wait for everyone to come through the semis and so forth. So at the moment, Tony Vodesk is leading the men. So those events are going on. The Formula Kite is on as well. So just thought we'd mention
another spectacular sport, isn't it?
Yep. You know what's spectacular? And I just want to chat about this because I find it so cool. That AC40, have you been looking at all, or you've been too tied up with all the X2 stuff?
Well, no, I've been head down, butt up, working hard here in the UK. But I did see the footage of Nathan Outridge and the guys the other day, and they were sending it. They have got no fear. They don't care. It's just full speed.
It's such a cool looking boat. The way it moves through the water, how smooth it is, the look of it. And then there is some video, Nath, where Nath ran through all the controls when they can put it on autopilot. Did you see that?
No, I did not.
Okay. So they've got it set up so it can be on autopilot. So it does its auto height, does its ride height, and it's just showing all the buttons. He took us in and showed us all the buttons. I'm assuming I'll see Nathan in a couple of weeks, but I might have a chat to him because I'm just digging these boats. I'd love to get a go on one. Like I can the 75 no issue, but if you are in for the youth or the female America's Cup, man, it looks so cool. But there's this
a little heads up. The boat is actually out there, as a potential boat to be used for everyone. It's not necessarily going to be just for the America's Cup and the Females America's Cup and all the Junior America's Cup and all that stuff. It is potentially going to be a boat that's potentially going to become a class. So I mean, there are opportunities to get involved with this on a sort of amateur level, if you like, but more along the points of what they're trying to achieve with it, in that they want to make it a class. And I think that it would be great to see. And we always sort of were skeptical of the flow down from the America's Cup and what was going to happen to the foiling type of boat. But it's happening slowly, and I think we are going to get to a stage where there's going to be these boats that have events around the world. I think it's going to happen. And this is the right platform.
Well, a lot of the commissioning work they're doing right now is around the auto setup, just to make sure it all works. So, the falling tacks, falling jibes, you just basically, it automatically flies the boat, and you trim the main and you trim the jib, and depending on where you're sitting, because you don't change side, you've got two people on one pair on each side, and so no one's changing side, and you can just transfer the buttons. So the jib trimmer's on the leeward side and the main trimmer's on the windward side, and you just swap it as you go through attack. And then I don't know whether you've got two helms on there or how they're going to do that, but basically it just looks sailable. It looks like you can really, really sail this thing, and I'm pumped.
Yeah, I love foiling. I mean, before I came over to the UK, I had a little go on that Vortex, the foiling trimaran that McConaughey's have done, and the feeling is phenomenal. I think they're going to get there. I think it's going to happen where we're going to be able to, see these boats at certain events. Obviously, there's not going to take away. It's not going to do, some events, but I think it'll be something to be looking forward to.
Yeah. The other one. Speaking of the Cup, is Luna Rossa dropped their prototype on the water as well this week.
Last night, yeah.
Yeah, so basically she looks a bit like a smaller version of the New Zealand boat from the last America's Cup. Did you see that?
It's hard to see because they bloody painted it so that you can't see the shape of it. Just like the old cars. We commented on it last night, actually. I'm lucky enough to be staying at a very good friend's house here in the UK. He cooked me up a nice chicken, and we're sitting there looking at it, and it came up on my feed, and we sort of balked at it a bit, and went, there you go. So
I love it. It is, but yeah, you're right. You can't quite tell, but I was looking at it, looked closely at it, but it's good. It's good to see it all coming out. The Cup stuff is all happening, so it's a cool time, and we've got a good month before we think about Sail GP again. So we've got all these events going on. We've got some great stuff, and I guess I'm pretty fired up to watch the IQ4 stuff on the live stream. I think I'll tune in for a bit when I can. What else? There was something else you wanted to bring up, BP.
Look, it's on a sadder note.
Oh, yes.
And obviously, we've lost a great man this week. And for those who knew him, Bob Wiley has passed. I've worked a lot with Bob over the years, and we had a lot of good times. So obviously, condolences to family, friends, and to everyone who knew him. It's a serious note, and I just want to pass out that. So he was a great man, and it's super. What's the word? Sort of mentorish. He had this ability just to be a mentor, and it's sad that we've lost him.
Yeah, he was one of the earlier pros, wasn't he? He got into it. He was a pro from very early on, and his brother also a real talented sailor in the windsurfing world, from my memory. But yeah, the Wiley boys were good guys. So he's too young. Too young. Affectionately known
as Wiley Bob.
Yeah.
Was involved in the commissioning, if you like, of the early Cento 100s, the Wallies. A project manager of just amazing boats, and anyone who's worked with him, has the same to say. He's just a German.
Yeah. Well, good, well said, mate. And massive condolences to the families there, because be a big hole. The last thing I just want to bring up, BP, is just a heads up to everyone. The Route de Rome destination Guadeloupe is about to start in a few weeks, the 25th of October. Our mate Hugo, the sailing Frenchman, has offered to try and work out some way where we could cross over and talk to a few of the boys. We haven't discussed it with Hugo, but Hugo, I know you listen. We haven't reached out to you. I think we'd be pretty keen on that one.
It's a buzz up here. I mean, I guess when we are down in Australia, it's all good and well to sort of talk about it and be a part of it from where we are. But when you are actually in the zone, there's a lot going on.
Yeah, cool. Now I've sort of played cheeky buggers here. I've left the Jack Lloyd Listener of the Week to the end, because I really liked this letter. I really, we got a great email. It's from Drew.
I got Disney in the background jumping up and down. Reckons he's Listener of the Week because he's actually listening.
Didn't you say that Mark Disney could never be Listener of the Week? It was one of the rules we had to put in place. That'll spark him.
Thanks. Yeah, no, he's laughing. All good.
So we got an email from Drew Harper, and I loved it, Drew. You sent through a great email, and there's a lot of things I loved about it, and we won't touch on all of it, but he reached out to us each. Huge fan of the show. I was enlightened about bar karate by my good mate Ronnie Simpson on an abysmal delivery of Santa Cruz 52 last August, post-Pac Cup from Hawaii to San Fran, so smashing into it. Never been a fan of podcasts, but he loaned me his iPod from all my watches, and you guys made a shitty delivery great. I've been chatting up bar karate ever since to all my sailors in San Fran. And then it goes on. There's quite a lot of stuff he talks about. But what I wanted to... He jumps on his soapbox near the end, and he's got a good point, and I really want to bring it up. He wants to talk about sailing schools. You guys know how critical it is to keep bringing new people into the sport. Well, sailing schools feed a constant supply. His own school has certified 15,000 students, and his charter company has exposed over 1 million passengers to sailing schooners. Community sailing, yacht clubs, junior programs, etc. an important part, but sailing schools, I believe, are equally important. We introduce the spark to many people who miss sailing when they were younger and bring them to the fold. Anything you guys can do to chat up schools, I think, is a good thing indeed. I know it's off topic from normal racing focus, but might expand your audience. We tell all our students about bar karate too. That is a really switched on point, BP. We've been morons. We haven't actually talked about sailing schools, and that's on it, like that is really. So he undoubtedly, Drew, you may or may not emphasise on the not, seeing we don't have any money and we don't have any stuff, but you may or may not receive a package. Maybe if I go to San Fran, mate, when I'm there, we can sort something out then. But I'd love to catch up and have a chat. But yeah,
absolutely. I mean, sailing schools are probably, I guess, a little bit of a underrated, or should we say, sort of forgotten thing.
Sure.
There are private schools dotted all around the planet and probably deserve more accolade than they get. It is an industry that relies on these people coming through.
Well, the other thing about it is it gives jobs to young sailors. My first job, sailing school.
Mine too.
Yeah, so yeah, super cool point, mate. And so we left it specially to the end there, Drew, just to make sure that that's what we ended on, because I think that you've really nailed something. And congratulations. We'll probably reach out to you, mate, and just try and come up with a few ideas. But thanks so much for reaching out. That's it from me, BP. Anything else from you, bud? No,
I'm all good. I'm going to go and enjoy my day, and then that's it, really.
Excellent, mate. Well, best of luck. Have a safe trip home. And yeah, we'll look forward to chatting to you some more. Have you got your guitar with you there, buddy?
I've always got my guitar with me, ready to go.
All right, let's just see. Start tuning her up, and we'll kick in. Where do you reckon you'll start?
Wherever you want. I'm pretty good at it. You just wherever you want.
Okay, mate. All right. Thanks for listening, everyone. See you, BP. Good to have your voice back on the air, and happy days.
Thanks, everyone. Good to be back. Cheers.
Oh, straight to the slide, mate. That's the best bit. We don't have to listen to your voice.